can use it today and use it tomorrow. The same money. So if I put it into this, I can borrow it and buy my major assets, house, cars, whatever, and then I can pay them back and have it for retirement. If I put it in my 401k and I house it in a 401k or an IRA, I can't access it to go create more cash flow. Money has value. Even if you give me cash and I sell you a vehicle, you gave up access to make compound interest and dividends on that money. You gave up that ability in exchange for the vehicle, which is a depreciating asset. If you want to have your money growing for you, house it in the right spot and then borrow against it so it's making uninterrupted compound interest, and then you can still have your vehicle. You're paying them and your money stays in there. You're leveraging your dollar. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. Okay, today we are going to go on to points to consider. I forgot to mention in our last podcast, with the new studio, we're not wearing shoes around here because, we're like in the house. And so we're going to do fun socks. So if you don't see shoes, get over it. And Tarisa has ants in her pants. I did not know this.
I have a hard time staying still.
Yeah. So
I might crisscross at some point, applesauce.
Yeah.
So
whatever, make yourself at home. This is who we are. We're not going to pretend. Okay. All right. Points to consider. This is actually, I don't know why. I mean, I kind of know why Nelson put this in the back of his book, but it's page 85 in my book. What page is it in your book?
85.
Okay. Page 85, he goes over a lot of just kind of what the main book talks about, but I really think that it should have been talked about in the beginning. So we're going to go over it now. The first point to consider, he's got 7 of them, is there are only 2 sources of income: people at work and money at work. It takes 2 incomes just to make ends meet. Could it be the fact that this modern family has no money at work? Could be.
Could be.
Right? Because we're all trying to be debt-free. Because that's what the talking heads talk about. Be debt-free. Be debt-free. And there's difference between good debt and bad debt. And so if we can have some good debt making cash flow for us and our money's at work, that makes more sense. If our money's inside of a policy and it's making compound interest and dividends and it's at work because the insurance company is doing their job, then all is good in the world.
That's the ideal situation. I also like this because it makes you think about, typically people spend so much time working for money, but they are not trying to make their money work. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get debt-free, as you mentioned, which in some cases is really important for people. It's like a stepping stone, but it's not like the end destination.
Mm-hmm.
Like dying debt-free shouldn't be like the goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even when you die debt-free, you still have debt. Somebody's still going to have to pay your taxes on your property until it sells. Somebody's still going to have to bury you. I've already got rid of everything before you've passed. Okay, good for you. You died debt-free. But
okay, this one I love. Point number 2. If you knew at passive income time that you would be getting back everything that you paid into a system tax-free, would you object to putting more money into it?
No.
Right. It's a very simple question and a very simple answer, no. Mm-hmm. But again, you have to be thinking long term. Like, I think so many people get caught up in the first 10 years of the policy that they can't see what happens at year 20, year 30, year 40. And the longer you wait, the more you are losing in opportunity cost, the more money at work you're losing.
And I look at that too and think, well, I wasn't a big 401k lover, an IRA person. And so if you read my books, you know that. And I didn't know I was going to get my money. So I'm not going to put it there. I'm also not going to go to the casino because I don't know if I'm going to get my money back. And so why would I do that? That's not fun. But here, I know I'm going to get that back. And then some. And my family will get even the extra. Okay. Point number 3. When you get paid for your work, you put all of it into someone else's bank. Someone else's bank gets all of your money. If you owned a banking system, wouldn't you want to run all of your business through your bank? This can't be done immediately. It will take the average person about 20 years to reach this level. So if you think you're going to put your French fry money in the policy because somebody has convinced you to do that, 20 years before maybe you could buy French fry. And think about it, still going to pay interest on that French fry. Your money is going, and people read that number 3 and they really think. Nelson said to put all of my money in there. Nelson was also saying dividends was part of his income. He counted dividends as part of his income. And so I think that we can blow that out of proportion. The piece that I really like about that is you put all your money into someone else's bank.
And you're happy about it.
Right. And they don't have to give it back to you by law. And so you're willingly doing that in exchange for a cookie. You could just be building your own banking system.
Well, and I love that it's like you're putting all of it into someone else's bank and then buying the things that you have to pay for in life.
Mm-hmm.
Money has to flow through an environment.
Mm-hmm.
Most people's money are flowing through an environment and they don't get to make money off of that activity.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas alternatively, if you take on the role of a banker, you get to participate in the profits of that. But it's happening no matter what. And I think that's the thing that people make the mistake of comparing it to an investment or something like that. And it's like, no, it's a financial environment. Do you want to have ownership over that or not?
Mm-hmm. Point number 4, when government creates a problem and then turns around and grants you an exception to the problem they created, aren't you just a little bit suspicious that you are being manipulated? Tax qualified retirement plans were all created under the guise of giving you a break. If the government really wanted to give you a break, all they had to do is cut out the taxes. Do you really think they want to do that? This is huge. This point does not get talked about enough. And I talk about it a lot because I love the piece where Nelson says, the government creates a problem, then turns around and grants you an exception to the problem. Aren't you suspicious? Even right now, as we're talking, we have tariffs. And so now Trump said, I just read this yesterday in the egg world. Trump said, oh, now that's hitting you hard as a farmer. So we're going to give you a bailout, not really a bailout, but they're going to give the farmers some money back, right? Because we're sorry that China's not buying your soybeans. So sorry about that. We've made a rule. Now we're going to create an exception to that rule. Well, could have we just done that a little better? I'm not the expert on tariffs, but have you ever read Economics in One Lesson?
I don't think I've read it, but I do have the book.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. In that book, he talks about how tariffs are not the answer. And so if you're looking at an Austrian-based system, they don't believe in tariffs. Now, I'm not running this country, so don't come at me, okay? But he's right. We're going to create a 401k for you to save money, and this is going to be fantastic. We're going to train all these advisors, and then when you're 73, you have to take it out. Then we're going to make an exception at 59 and a half, and you can take it without penalty. I don't remember what I was looking at. Oh, I was writing the next book last week. And I was talking about the fact that there's no control in those things. The government controls that, and then they make exceptions. Oh, it's COVID. We're going to make an exception and let you take $100,000 out of that IRA or that 401k without penalty. If you think you have control of that, you do not. But look at what they're doing. They're creating it, and then they're making exceptions to make you feel good about it. And nobody is suspicious?
Well, and it's like, who has control over that? Like the fact that you're even penalized for accessing your money is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. I call it the stupid tax.
Yeah.
Because they think you're too stupid to know what to do with your money. So we're going to charge you 10% penalty to make it harder for you to go in there and access it because you are not smart enough.
Right. You're not. You're smart enough to earn it and we're smart enough to take it. Oh, it's like the fox guarding the hen house. You know?
It is.
That's exactly what it is. It's like deception. Like, hey, I want you to work your entire lifetime to accumulate this. And then I'm going to give you permission on how you can access it, when you can access it. And then I'm going to tell you that you have to take it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what? Think about that for a second. Like, what does the government benefit from that? They have their hands so deep in your pockets, and that's so normalized that people don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
But if I was like, hey, if I just approached someone down the street and I was like, Mary Jo, I'm going to ask you to give me all of your money that you're going to live off for the rest of your life. I'm going to tell you when you can take it out. And if you want to take it out before this date, I'm going to make you pay me extra. And then if you don't even want to take it out at this age, you are required to do so. Oh, and cherry on top, there is no guarantee that you're going to have more in there that you've paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you take that deal?
Yep. No, but you're a private custodian of my money at that point, right? So if you really, I've never thought about this till you just said that. So if you really think about it, the government is acting as a custodian of our retirement account because they have access to control that, right? It's as if we are handicapped and we can't manage our own money because who has custodians of their money? Handicapped people have custodians that manage the money because they are not able to do so themselves. The government is treating us like a bunch of people that do not have enough knowledge to take care of our own money. So we're going to make all these rules and then we're going to abide by them because everybody else does. So it must be okay.
Must be fine.
Yeah. And then you go put your tinfoil hat on because you don't agree.
Right.
We should have
We're the
tinfoil
crazy
hats.
ones.
We'll have to go upstairs and make some tinfoil hats.
But like, no one would take that deal if someone approached them and asked them those questions.
Yeah.
But that is effectively what people are doing with their hard-earned money every single day because their friend is doing it.
Yep.
Well, friends sometimes do dumb things. That doesn't mean we have to copy them.
If your friend jumps off the cliff, are you going to too?
Okay. The next one. Wealth has got to reside somewhere. Where would you prefer to have it reside? Real estate? Then take a look around and see what happens when one needs liquidity. Real estate is very much a frozen asset. Then try reading from my recommended reading from those interested in the stock market on page 91. Until you've done so, are you qualified to make an intelligent decision about such an action? Or free contract with other free persons, life insurance. From this base of financial operation, you can do any of the other things in life that you desire.
Yep. So wealth has to reside somewhere.
It has to.
If you've not read Nelson's book, Warehouse of Wealth, you really should be reading that book as well. Where are you going to house your money? And you talked about this last night as we were talking about this. You like to ask people, where are you housing your money? Where is it going? What is it doing? Because that is important. Is it under your control or are you putting it in government control? They can access it. They can tell you what you should be doing with it. And then they make all the rules of when you can take it out, when you can't take it out, how it's taxed, all the stuff. Or are you better off? And here's the thing. When we go back to the tax code, when we talked about the introduction chapter and that this is growing income tax free and the tax code was created after, we have an opportunity to say we're going to understand the tax code and we're going to use it to our advantage, or we're going to choose to ignore the tax code and we're just going to live a simple life and pay a lot of taxes. There are no loopholes in the tax code. It is the tax code. You either choose to understand it and not overpay in taxes, or you choose to avoid it and overpay in taxes. It's really that simple. Like, people make it sound like, oh, wealthy people are avoiding taxes. They're using the tax code that was written for business owners. The tax code was not written for people that are doing 9-to-5 jobs. The tax code was written for business owners to take advantage of tax cuts because they are providing business and income to other people. So they get the incentive.
Yeah. Yes, I love point 5 because it's just stating a plain fact. Wealth has to reside somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But why are you comfortable with where it's residing? Have you asked yourself the critical questions that are required for you to make your own informed decision about something?
Mm-hmm.
People can tell you whatever you want, but until you know for certain, like that what you're doing is beneficial for you and your family, then ask the questions of everything, right? Like apply it to your 401k, your IRA, apply it to these policies. You should have the same line of questioning before you make an informed decision, I think. And if you think about the role of a bank, it's really just to store money and to sell it, to distribute it. And that's exactly what we're doing in these policies. And what Nelson is saying in here is that you're not limited in what financial decisions you want to make by putting your money in the policy. You are just changing your primary residence so that it benefits you.
Right.
So you don't have to ask the government for permission.
Right. And you can use it today and use it tomorrow. The same money.
Mm-hmm.
So if I put it into this, I can borrow it and buy my major assets, house, cars, whatever, and then I can pay them back and have it for retirement. If I put it in my 401k and I house it in a 401k or an IRA, then that's where it's housed. It's not, I can't access it to go create more cash flow. Point 6, you finance everything you buy. You either pay interest to someone else or you give up interest you could have earned. There are no exceptions. And I don't think a lot of people think of that either. That money has value. And so even the cash that you spend, and this is very much written for people that are cash purchasers. Even if you give me cash and I sell you a vehicle, you gave up access to make compound interest and dividends on that money. You gave up that ability in exchange for the vehicle, which is a depreciating asset. And so if you want to have your money growing for you, house it in the right spot and then borrow against it so it's making uninterrupted compound interest. And then you can still have your vehicle. So you're either financing it, because that's a big hang up for people. Well, I'm going to still pay the insurance company 5% or 4% interest. Yes, you are. But you're paying them and your money stays in there. You're leveraging your dollar. So if you are a business owner listening to this, that's exactly what you're doing in business, is you're leveraging your business, right? You're leveraging that car, that vehicle, by going to the bank and using that vehicle as collateral. But you're not leveraging your dollars.
Right. Well, and I think a good way to think about this, because I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, I don't want to pay interest. I don't want to pay interest to the life insurance company. Okay. Well, then what are you doing alternatively? You're taking 100% of a dollar and you're spending 100% of a dollar. And then you're cutting off that earning potential. Whereas with these policies, you are renting 100% of a dollar for the cost of 5 cents for the use of that dollar. You're paying 5 cents to the insurance company. And if you're being an honest banker, then you should be paying 10 cents for the use of a dollar. 5 cents to the insurance company, 5 cents as additional premium into your policy. So it's like, would you rather pay 100% of a dollar or would you rather pay 10 cents to rent?
And the 5 cents you give to the company creates income for the company that then creates part of your dividend.
That you're part ownership of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're willing to give the bank 5%. If you borrow money from them, you're willing to give them 5% and you're okay with them not giving you anything back. Or you're willing to put money into savings and then pay you 0.5% so that they can lend it to Tarisa at 5%, the same money.
Yeah.
And so, and you don't get any of their profit. But when the insurance company decides that, hey, we're going to charge you 5%, some of that, not all of it, but some of that is going to create a dividend for you. And the dividend is a formula. It's all based on 3 factors. But at the end of the day, you don't get all 5% back. But you are going to get some of that in the form of a profit. So fantastic. I will pay my own bank. That would be like Nelson always says, Nelson talks about the grocery store, which we'll also get into. But do you want to go to, if you owned the local grocery store, are you going to shop at your grocery store or are you going to go to Walmart because it's cheaper? Well, when interest rates are less than 5%, I went to the bank when I had to leverage what I was doing. But I don't care if I was borrowing from my policy at 5% and the bank was 2.5%, because that was my bank. I'm not going to go to a different grocery store if I don't need to, because I'm going to patronize my store. And I don't want to pay my store less for my can of peas because that's my store.
Right. You are the only person that gets to benefit additionally from patronizing your own store.
Right. You get all your money back.
Sometimes I'm just like, wow, Nelson really, he packed so much in so little words, which is why this is super fun, because it's just, every time I'm reading it, I'm like, well, duh. Why wouldn't you do this?
Exactly.
Okay. So 7, your need for finance during your lifetime exceeds your need for life insurance protection. If you solve for your need for finance through life insurance cash values, you will end up with so much life insurance you cannot get it past the underwriters.
Which we already talked about.
We did.
In the last podcast. So I don't know that we need to hammer that one and beat that dead horse much, but he's not wrong. If you didn't hear it in the last podcast, go back to the last podcast. Because you should have anyway. You shouldn't be skipping around.
Okay, do we have enough time to go through this, my in-force?
Sure.
Okay, so this I think illustrates this point. So this is my oldest, smallest policy. It's $5,000 a year. I wish I would have known the current death benefit when I first started it, or my original death benefit. But right now it's at $565 in death benefit. But he's saying your need for finance. So in 10 years, I will have put in $62,000, but my cash value is at $64,000. So I already have more than what I put in 10 years. Long-term planning. I did not have 100% access to that right away. In 20 years, I've put in $112,000. I have access to $158,000. In 70 years, my outlay is now less because I'm just paying base. But my cash value is at $667,000 and I've put in $230,000.
So you have $400,000 more.
Yes.
$430,000?
I'm not really the best at quick math in my head, but I do know it's more than $230,000. Which is what I care about.
So you have $400,000 more.
And what he's saying is your need for finance. So
this is your smallest policy.
This is my smallest policy. I started it when I was 24, $5,000 a year. And then you're 70, my death benefit has grown to $1.2 million. So I paid $230 for access to $667, and my tax-free death benefit is at $1.2 million.
On a $5,000 a year premium.
Yeah.
So I think that that's important too when people say, well, I'm too young, I can't get started. That's what happens when you're young. The power of compounding, and you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars for premium. You can start with $5,000 a year. You can start with $3,000 a year. It frankly doesn't matter.
You have to get started.
You have to get started because you had the power of compounding. Now you're in your 30s and we're 10 years past.
Right. Which is super exciting for me.
I mean, the compounding is still there in your 30s, but it's much different than in your 50s. And so buying when you're young and getting started at some point instead of saying, hey, I have to wait till I have $20,000 or $50,000 or $100,000. No, but if you're in the more you put in, the better the compounding. And so if you are in your 50s and you're saying, hey, I could do $100,000 a year, then do 100 and don't be necessarily so conservative to do 50 because we don't have that huge power of compounding behind us.
Well, and if you knew you could get everything out that you put in and so much more, would you object to putting more into it?
Right.
No.
Right. Because on the guaranteed side, you will get out everything you put in. So you either go to the casino or you go to the life insurance company. It's really your choice.
Right. So solve your need through finance, through these policies.
Yep.
And your death benefit will grow.
Yep. Okay.
We did it.
Folks, we're going to try to keep them shorter. So if you have questions, you know where to find us. But that was points to consider. And we will be back with the next chapter.